What if I told you that the most powerful technology shift of the next decade isn't coming from some secretive government lab or a billion-dollar startup burning through venture capital in Silicon Valley? It's coming from a company you already know. A company whose chips are already running the AI models you use every single day. And what they just did in the quantum computing space should have every investor, every tech enthusiast, and every person who cares about the future of money and intelligence paying very close attention right now. Welcome back to Pulse AI. I'm Nova, and today we are going deep on something that I honestly believe is one of the most underreported stories in tech right now: NVIDIA and quantum computing. Because while everyone was busy watching the AI arms race, ChatGPT versus Gemini, NVIDIA's stock price, the next Blackwell chip, NVIDIA was quietly doing something that might completely redefine what computing even means. And when you understand what they've actually built and what it means for AI, and especially for finance, I think your perspective on the next 5 years is going to shift in a major way. So stay with me, because this one gets wild. Let's start with the basics, because I want to make sure we're all on the same page before we go further. Quantum computing has been one of those buzzwords that the tech world has been throwing around for over a decade. Every few years, someone announces a breakthrough and the headlines go crazy, and then nothing really changes. Your laptop still runs the same way. Your bank still processes transactions the same way. Quantum always felt like it was 10 years away, and then 10 years later, it was still 10 years away. I get why people are skeptical. I get why when you hear quantum computing breakthrough, you roll your eyes a little. But here's the thing. The reason quantum computing never arrived wasn't because the physics was wrong. The physics is sound. The reason it never arrived is because of one brutal, stubborn problem: noise. See, quantum computers use qubits instead of regular bits. And while a regular bit is either a 0 or a 1, a qubit can exist in what's called a superposition, essentially both states at once. That's not a metaphor. That's literally how it works at the subatomic level. And that property is what makes quantum computers so extraordinarily powerful for certain types of calculations, the kind of calculations that would take a classical computer millions of years to complete. But here's the catch. Qubits are incredibly fragile. They're so sensitive that even the tiniest vibration, the slightest temperature fluctuation, even cosmic rays passing through the atmosphere can introduce errors into the calculation. And when your calculation is riddled with errors, your result is useless. That's the wall that quantum computing has been hitting over and over again for years. Error rates so high that practical, real-world quantum computing just wasn't possible. And that is exactly the wall that NVIDIA just decided to tear down. Here's what NVIDIA has actually been doing, and I want you to pay attention because this is the part most people are completely missing. NVIDIA didn't try to build a quantum computer from scratch. They didn't go out and try to compete with IBM or Google on who can build the biggest quantum processor. Instead, they did what NVIDIA always does. They looked at the problem from a systems perspective, and they built the infrastructure that makes everything else work better. Their move is called hybrid computing, and the centerpiece of that strategy is something called NVQ Link. NVQ Link is a universal interconnect, think of it like a bridge, that allows quantum processors and NVIDIA's classical GPU supercomputers to communicate with each other in real time. What this does is remarkable. Instead of trying to run everything on a fragile quantum processor, you let the quantum computer handle the problems it's uniquely suited for, while the GPU handles the heavy lifting of error correction and classical processing on the other side. The two systems work together, each doing what it does best, connected at high speed through NVQ Link. The world's leading scientific computing centers have already started adopting this architecture. Quantinuum's Helios quantum processor is using NVQ Link right now to demonstrate real-time decoding for quantum error correction at scale, something that has never been done before at this level. This isn't a demo. This isn't a press release. This is production-level quantum GPU integration happening at major research institutions around the world. And then NVIDIA went even further. In April of this year, they dropped something called the Ising AI model family. Named after the lens Ising model from statistical mechanics, And yes, NVIDIA loves giving their products names that make you feel like you need a physics degree. The Ising family is an open-source set of AI models specifically designed to help quantum computers calibrate themselves and correct their own errors. Think about that for a second. NVIDIA built an AI system whose entire job is to make quantum computers smarter and more reliable. They used artificial intelligence to solve the fundamental problem of quantum computing. They used one frontier technology to unlock another. That is genuinely one of the most elegant moves I've seen a technology company make in years. NVIDIA's director of quantum product put it directly. Both of these developments are targeting the fundamental challenge in quantum computing, which is that qubits are inherently noisy, and that noise is the fundamental bottleneck standing between today's quantum hardware and useful applications. That's the company's own words. They know exactly what problem they're solving, and they're solving it with AI. Now let's talk about what this actually means, because theory is one thing, but real-world impact is another. And I want to start with AI, because that's the space most of you care about the most. Right now, the AI models we're all using, the large language models, the image generators, the reasoning systems, they all run on classical computing hardware. NVIDIA's GPUs, to be specific. And those GPUs are extraordinary machines. But they have limits. There are classes of problems: optimization problems, molecular simulation, complex pattern recognition across enormous datasets, where classical computing just hits a ceiling. You can throw more GPUs at the problem, but at some point, you're just burning more power and time for diminishing returns. Quantum computing removes that ceiling. When you have a hybrid system where a quantum processor can work alongside classical GPUs in real time, the AI models of tomorrow aren't going to be limited by the same constraints the models of today are. Imagine an AI system that can simultaneously model millions of variables in a drug interaction, not one at a time, not in sequence, but all at once. Imagine a recommendation system that doesn't just look at your past behavior, but can optimize across the entire global network of user preferences in a fraction of a second. Imagine AI that can crack materials, science problems that would take today's computers longer than the age of the universe to solve. That's not science fiction. That's the direction this technology points toward, and NVIDIA is building the on-ramp to get there. But honestly, the finance angle might be even bigger, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. Let me walk you through why Wall Street should be paying very close attention to what NVIDIA just pulled off. Financial markets are, at their core, optimization problems. Portfolio management is an optimization problem. Risk assessment is an optimization problem. Derivatives pricing, figuring out the fair value of complex financial instruments, is an optimization problem. And all of these problems share the same characteristic. They involve enormous numbers of variables that interact with each other in nonlinear ways. Classical computers handle these problems by making approximations, by simplifying, by cutting corners. And most of the time, that's fine. But sometimes, those approximations cost billions of dollars. Quantum computing doesn't approximate. It explores the entire solution space simultaneously. A quantum-powered risk model doesn't just check a few thousand scenarios. It evaluates the full probability distribution across millions of potential market states at once. That means better hedging. That means faster detection of systemic risk before it cascades through the market. That means fraud detection systems that catch anomalies that today's algorithms would completely miss. The institutions that get access to this kind of computing power first, the hedge funds, the investment banks, the algorithmic trading firms, are going to have an advantage that is almost impossible to overstate. And the market is already starting to price this in. The global quantum technology market reached $1.9 billion in 2025, and it's growing at a pace that has analysts updating their projections almost every quarter. Quantinuum, one of NVIDIA's key partners in this ecosystem, backed by JP Morgan, Fidelity, and Honeywell, is heading toward a public listing that could value the company near $20 billion. That's double its valuation from just a year ago. Companies are racing to get positioned in this space before the mainstream catches on. And here's the thing. In tech, By the time something is mainstream, the biggest gains are already behind you. Now, I want to be honest with you here, because that's what this channel is about. NVIDIA has not solved quantum computing in the sense that the problem is completely finished and we're all about to have quantum laptops on our desks next year. That's not where we are. What NVIDIA has done is more precise than that, and in some ways more significant. They've solved the integration problem. They've built the bridge. They've created the architecture that allows quantum processors to become practically useful right now, not in some theoretical future, by pairing them with the classical computing infrastructure that already exists and already works. That is a completely different kind of breakthrough, and arguably a more important one, because it means the benefits of quantum computing don't have to wait for perfect, fault-tolerant quantum hardware. They can start flowing today through hybrid systems, through NVIDIA Link, through the Ising AI models correcting errors in real time. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO, has been making the case for years that supercomputers in the future are going to be quantum GPU systems, combining the quantum computer's ability to simulate nature with the GPU's programmability and massive parallelism. And what's happening right now, in 2026, is that case is being proven out in the real world. Argonne National Laboratory, Riken in Japan. Leading research institutions across the globe are all deploying NVIDIA's NVIDIA Link architecture. This isn't vaporware. This is the foundation being laid for the next era of computing. So, what does this mean for you? A few things. If you're an investor, the quantum computing space is maturing faster than most people realize, and NVIDIA is positioning itself to win regardless of which specific quantum hardware architecture eventually dominates. That's actually the genius of their strategy. They're building the connective tissue, the operating layer, the infrastructure. They don't need to pick a winner among quantum hardware companies because their technology works with all of them. They've done this before. They built CUDA, the software platform that made GPU computing indispensable for AI, and they're doing the same thing here with CUDA-Q for quantum hybrid computing. The playbook is the same. The scale of the opportunity is even bigger. If you're in AI, whether you're building models, deploying them, or just following where the technology is going, this is your signal that the next ceiling is already being worked on. The era of classical-only AI is not going to last forever. The researchers and companies getting familiar with quantum classical hybrid systems today are the ones who are going to be building the most powerful AI systems of the 2030s. And if you're just someone who wants to understand the world you're living in, here's the honest bottom line. We are at an inflection point, not a hype cycle, not a press release. An actual, measurable architectural shift in how the world's most powerful computers are being built. And the company at the center of it, the company that already won the GPU era, the company that already won the AI infrastructure era, is now building the bridge into the quantum era. That should tell you something. I'm Nova, this is Pulse AI, and if this video made you think differently about where technology is headed, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, because this is exactly the kind of story we live for on this channel. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you bullish on the quantum AI convergence? Do you think NVIDIA is playing this right? Let's talk about it. I'll see you in the next one. End of script. Approximately 2,500 words.